you don't want to let it be. If you can't set yourself free, take your mind into another place and time. Free yourself up to find the universal mind. The universal mind. The universal mind.
Live from Hollywood, it's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Mark Summers, and now, here's your host, Dan Harary.
Dan Harary. Every time I hear that from my friend Mark Summers, it makes me laugh every single time. Hello, everybody. Dan Harary, beautiful downtown Beverly Hills, broadcasting live in color, in living color on NBC, if you remember those days. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's having a nice fall so far. It's nice and cool out here in LA. It finally got nice. This past Sunday, the 22nd, my Hollywood Disclosure Alliance group, we presented a very cool 4-hour event. And I was the MC. We had movie star Thomas Jane doing a lecture called A Human's Guide to Visiting Aliens, based on a book that he's been working on for many years. So Thomas Jane spoke for a while, and then documentary filmmaker Ron James spoke for a while about his award-winning film Accidental Truth and about his relationship with Tim Burchett in Congress. And then we had a special guest star at the end, Michael Schratt, who I interviewed on the show a few weeks ago. And Michael presented these beautiful artistic renderings of famous and unknown UFO crash retrievals based on Leonard Stringfield's 30 years of history of research. And it was a wonderful day. We had about 70 people there. And that was that. So if anyone out there is interested in UFOs, aliens, and disclosure, please check out HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. It's the group that myself and Stephen Bassett launched a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. And we're looking for new members all the time. HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. Okay, so today we have a lovely, wonderful woman who has become a good friend of mine just very recently, and I'm now going to read her little bio, and then I'm going to bring her in. So here we go. On January 1st this year, Yvonne Smith reached an important milestone celebrating 33 years of working with UFO abduction cases. 33 years. God bless her. Yvonne is the author of the books Chosen, From the Alien Hybrid Program to the Fate of the Planet. How about that for a title for a book? And her other book is called Coronado, The President, the Secret Service, and Alien Abductions, a true account about a mass abduction event which occurred in 1994. In all of her books, Yvonne reveals explicit, dramatic, and unedited transcripts of clients reliving during hypnotic regression their recollections of alien encounters and abductions. If anyone out there has had alien abduction or encounters or experiences that perhaps were unpleasant or you can't remember them, you want to check out Yvonne Smith. You want to contact her. Yvonne founded the Close Encounter Resource Organization, CERO, in 1992. She conducts monthly meetings, and in 2020, she started hosting Zoom CERO groups meetings for members who live around the world. During the 90s, Yvonne traveled extensively with her abduction research colleagues, Budd Hopkins, David Jacobs, and the late John Mack, all legends in the field. As a participant in a lecture series, she has lectured at MIT and several other universities and conferences around the world. Yvonne has appeared on many, many TV shows, radio shows, and podcasts. Since 2021, she's been teaching the abduction therapists training workshop sessions, which include live hypnotic regressions for qualified therapists who have expressed interest in incorporating UFO abduction cases into their therapy practices. Yvonne is a pioneer in this field, truly. In 2017, Yvonne was awarded Lifetime Achievement Award for her lifetime dedication and contribution to the field of ufology by the UFO Congress. And last year, 2023, she was given the Lifetime Achievement Award by the producers of Contact in the Desert. She's a founding member of my group with Steve Bassett called the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. She was one of our early founding members. And on a personal note, I went to visit Yvonne this past Saturday in her office for several hours, and she hypnotized me. And I was trying to remember some missing time that I had as a 5-year-old child, and we can talk about that during the course of this interview. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's race. Let's bring her in, the one and only. And there she is, my friend Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm fine. Thank you for having me on the show.
Sure. It's my pleasure. You know, you and I have become friends just quite recently. And
I love it. Yes, I love it.
We're bosom buddies. You and I are bosom buddies now, and I don't say that lightly. You're broadcasting live from your studio. I was there a few days ago, La Cañada in California. And how many rough guess, Yvonne, in the last 33 years, how many clients or people, have you helped? Thousands and thousands?
Probably at least a couple thousand. That might be cutting it a little short, but at least. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours of recordings of the regressions, and I still can't believe when you were reading my bio, it's been 33 years. I remember when I first started. It's just been incredible, and it's been an incredible ride all these years, and I've been meeting such wonderful people like yourself and Ray's, throughout the years. It's just, this field is very special, and this work is also very special. Nothing that I really planned to do. It just sort of, I think I was placed on this path to do this, Dan.
Right. We talked about that the other day. I agree. I think I was as well. I always ask my guests, Yvonne, first question, tell us a little bit about your background, your childhood, your parents, your family. What did you do as a child? What kind of interests did you have? Where did you grow up? That kind of stuff.
Oh, gosh, I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm a native Californian. I went to Catholic school. In fact, my sister, all my cousins, we all went to Catholic school. My parents were hardworking parents, worked very hard to give us a nice home. We weren't wealthy by any means, but it just seems as we were growing up, we had everything we needed. And I love Christmas. I love the holidays to this day because of my parents and my whole family made it all so special. They gave us, pretty much everything we had asked for. And then, so I really count my blessings. And also my parents and my entire family, they were always very open to discussing UFOs, ghosts.
Wow.
We were always very open. When I started this work 33 years ago, and I started doing a lot of television in those days in the 90s, and you probably remember the shows, Encounters, Sightings, all those shows were on weekly talking about and presenting UFO cases. And I was on with several of my CERO members, it seems, every week. And every time a show was going to come on, my mom and dad would tell the whole family, all their friends, they've got to tune in. They were really proud of what I was doing. And I feel very fortunate that way. Where I know, because I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and not all families and people are open to even discussing it. So I was just fortunate enough to be able to do my work without a lot of ridicule within my family unit, and even to this day. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's terrific. That's terrific. I mean, I told you in 1970, I saw a major UFO with my father. We had a major UFO sighting, and I was 13, and my dad and I had this encounter, and I've told the story all over the world, but I was thrilled and jumping up and down, and Dad, look, it's a UFO, and I was super excited. And my dad looked at it, bored to tears, like he'd seen it a million times. And then, Yvonne, we went home. I called the newspaper. They said, we're getting hundreds of phone calls. I got to go, Sonny. She hung up on me. No article ever in. And then my dad lived for another like 70 something years, right? Whatever it was. And my dad and I never ever once discussed that event, Yvonne. Never once in his life did we talk about that. Why? I know now he worked for the military. It was top secret, and he knew what that was. But I'm envious. My point here is I'm envious of you. You were able to discuss UFOs and ghosts with your family. You know, my father told me, you know, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in aliens. So I didn't have that outlet that you had. So I'm jealous, quite frankly.
Oh, yes. And I think because the UFO abduction phenomenon is intergenerational, I call it a family affair. I believe it was my mother who had experiences when she was young. As a child, she said she would go up to my grandmother's roof and lie there in the evening and look at the stars and just wonder, you know, she was just so amazed and wondering what's out there and longing to be there. She was also psychic, very psychic, but because we grew up Catholic, it scared her. Whenever she would see something and if something would happen, it would scare her. So she kind of shoved it aside. And it wasn't until my sister and I became adults and we all started discussing that. My sister's also very psychic. And, you know, it just, she opened up more. But that's what she was telling me as a child. She always wondered, you know, what's out there. And she had experiences where she saw beings around her bed one time. You know, and I'm not surprised that she had experiences. And then I got into this work and, you know, I don't believe in accidents, Dan. I believe in, you know, synchronicities. And, but yes, I really am very lucky that I was able to talk to both my mom and dad. They're both gone, unfortunately, but they were also always very proud of me. And that meant a lot to me doing this kind of work.
Yeah, that's great that you had that ability to share. So that leads to my second question. Have you personally ever seen a UFO or personally had an ET or extraterrestrial experience?
I have not. Well, I went to the James Gilliland Ranch there in Washington near Mount Adams, and I went with a couple CERO members. We were sitting outside, you know, he does a sky watch, and the CERO member and I were looking at Mount Adams, and there was this huge white light to the left of it. And wow. I thought, you know, there must be a road up there. You know, it's probably a car.
Yeah, there's nothing there. You know, there's nothing back there. Yeah, yeah, I've been there. I know.
Yeah, I remember he told me. He said, "No, that's too big. That light is too big." So, you know, and I saw some things putting on the goggles that he has.
Okay.
But I really, you know, I would like to see one like you saw one, Dan, with structure. I'd like to see maybe windows, you know, but maybe I will someday. But years ago, now Budd Hopkins, who's considered the pioneer of abduction research, when I started my work, he cautioned me, don't talk about your experiences publicly because people are going to think, you know, you're going to lose credibility and objectivity, and because you're a hypnotherapist. And for at least 20 years, I didn't say, when people asked me, I actually had to say no and lie. And I didn't feel right about it, but I was honoring Bud's request. it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I saw many of my clients coming forward. I mean, these were professional people telling me they're tired of, living a lie, and look, this happened to me, I'm just going to talk about it. And I started talking about this publicly, talking about it more and more. I don't remember anything in childhood. Like, normally it begins in childhood,
Right.
but
Okay.
I became awakened with this when I was in my early 30s. And I had I would say a very major, it was an experience. Well, it was a very vivid dream where I was inside. Well, it felt like I was inside of somewhere, but
Okay.
it looked more like a cave in a way. But I was sitting in a chair. This being came up to me. He was going to spray something in my face, and I turned this way, and I could see spray coming over me. And then they lifted me up and walked me into this gigantic crystal. It was in a shape of a pyramid. It was green, there was a green light inside it, but it was huge. And I walked in and looked around, and I could see, all around the crystal. And then I don't remember anything after that. And then I had another major flashback and this is the one I started talking about, I believe, at Contact in the Desert last year. And I tell people, I always tell my clients, don't be surprised if you have flashbacks after we've had a session, because we're opening up the subconscious. And because from personal experience, I was scrubbing the bathroom floor. My boys were very young. They were in school. My husband I was married at the time. He was at work, and I was upstairs, scrubbing the bathroom floor. And now all of a sudden I look up, and I'm no longer in my bathroom. I'm in this huge, round, white room.
Wow.
There was a being on the left of me. I didn't see her. It was a female, but I had the impression that she had a long white gown, very, very tall, and the room was filled with tables and people on the tables, and alien beings working around the tables. I mean, this room was huge, and she went like this with her arm, and you could see her gown, her sleeve, and they speak telepathically. And what I got was, you're going to be helping a lot of people.
Wow.
And then I was back in my bathroom. I thought, I don't want to be back in my bathroom. I want to go to that white room,
And you weren't even tripping on LSD at the time, were you?
And I never have.
Neither. I've never even seen LSD, quite frankly.
I never have either.
Never done it.
But that's why I feel that, because I've had some experiences, that I could be a better therapist, because I know what they're going through. I know what a major flashback is. Also, my youngest son started having experiences when he was 5 years old. He started telling me, something was coming in his room. He would describe a tall, skinny spider in the corner of his room talking to him.
Wow.
I was just getting in my work, and then my oldest son was terrified of spiders. He said he saw a spider this big crawling up his crib. Well, we lived in Redondo Beach at the time. I thought, we don't have spiders. Thankfully, we don't have spiders that big. I was at a conference with Budd, John Mack, and David Jacobson, and afterwards, we all go to the bar and have a drink and talk. And because I was the rookie at the time, I said, any of you ever have children talk about seeing spiders? Oh, yeah, Bud even had his book of drawings, and he showed me a couple of drawings, and John Mack, same thing. So I knew that I was on the right track. And then, but of course, confirmation is a double-edged sword. Here's my, sons talking about this, especially my youngest, and they just confirmed that, yes, he's having experiences. He talks about this, this tall spider. So I was so blessed during the early 90s when I started and working with these pioneers, the A-listers, and I traveled with them and I was able to compare notes with them.
Right.
So I'm just, I'm very, very grateful. So now, as you mentioned in the beginning of the show, I'm teaching therapists since 2021, people who want to do this work, because we do need qualified therapists around the world.
Right. So I have something fun I want to do with you. It's a little different, but I think it'd be very fun. Race, can we see slide number 1, please? Race. Okay. So Yvonne, so hold on. So Yvonne, you've met, worked with, or become friends with literally the who's who of ufology, right? In the last 35 years.
Yes.
So I have a whole bunch of really great photos of you with very famous people. So I want to go through these. We have quite a few of them. I'll go through each one. Just give us a couple of little anecdotes or fond memories you have about these people. For this one, slide
God.
1, tell us who these people are and any little stories you have about them.
Well, of course, George Noory is standing right next to me. I've been on his show several times. I think this was at an X conference up north, and I don't remember the year, but and of course, Dr. Roger Leir, my dear friend and colleague, he's responsible for removing about 17 implants from people. Became very, very dear friend, and I miss him dearly. He passed away on the same day my cousin passed away, so I had 2 very sad phone calls on the same day. But this picture, oh my gosh, I love this.
Great. It's a great. George Noory looks like Sirhan Sirhani, like a Middle Eastern. He looks like a Middle Eastern assassin, like a terrorist. Doesn't he look like he's a Middle Eastern terrorist?
He's so serious.
Yeah. I never had the honor to meet Dr. Leir, but I know he removed implants, and he's did 8 million TV shows and documentaries, and he was as are you. He was a pioneer in that arena. All right, Ray, slide number 2, please. There you go.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah. This was one of we were doing CERO International lectures at one time for a couple years. This was inviting people from the public to come and to our events. Of course, everybody I think knows Nick Pope to my left, and then Colonel Robert Charles
right?
from the
Rendlesham.
Rendlesham, thank you. I'm having these surprise me here. I'm having these.
I know. I wanted to throw you off your game, Yvonne. I thought this would be super fun. It's like, Yvonne Smith, this is your life. You remember that TV show?
This is your life. Oh yes, and that was such a great event. I mean, Colonel Hall, what a gentleman he is. Just
did you spend some time with him talking about Rendlesham? I'm sure you did, probably.
Yeah, we did. We had dinner. All of us. We had dinner afterwards, and of course, we talked about the case. And he goes, "There was so much more than." Like I told him in the early days when I got into this field, I listened to all of his tapes. He goes, there was so much more that didn't get out into the public. So. That's just an incredible case. I mean, here I meet all these people that I read about, and when I first, even before I even got into the field, and here I'm standing with, 2 of the stars right now.
That's exactly what happened. Exactly what's happened to me the last 2 years. I've met all of my UFO heroes, including you, Yvonne. Believe it or not, we have to take a little commercial break. Race, we'll pay some bills, do some rock and roll with some commercials. And then, Yvonne, I have 1, 2, 3, I have 5 more slides to present to you. So
okay.
Sit tight and relax. We'll be right back with Yvonne Smith right after this commercial break.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife? Into the void. In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from UnX Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
This is Margie Kay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us number one on Paranormal Talk Radio.
The UnX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Kathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the UnX Network website at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com.
And we're back, and I'm typing like an imbecile here. Hold on, what am I doing here? Okay, I'm spreading to one of the people here. Okay, let's bring back Yvonne. Yvonne, okay, let's do race slide number 3. And Yvonne, you're going to like this one, I think, I'm sure. Tell us about this guy. Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, all these memories. Oh, my gosh. We were in Coronado, Italy, both speakers at the conference there. Oh, I can't remember what year. Budd Hopkins, of course, pioneer, as I mentioned, of abduction research and my mentor. That's how I learned how to work with abduction cases, by observing a few of his sessions. And that's how I'm teaching the up and coming abduction hypnotherapist, is the way I learned from Budd. And I remember when I was up there speaking, huge audience. It was just a beautiful area there in San Marino. And I had him stand up, and I said, if it were not for this person, for this man, I would not be standing here before you. And it just surprised him. And I said, I meant it. You know, I just was so grateful to have had all those years with him and worked with him. And of course, you know, we all miss him. It was sad when he passed away. But
what year and what circumstances did you first meet Budd Hopkins?
Oh, it was in, oh my gosh, my mother wanted to go to the Whole Life Expo where we lived in Pasadena, California. I told you she liked all the metaphysical stuff, and she wanted to go and see, you know, some healers and psychics, and Budd Hopkins was speaking, and she knew who he was. So we went, and when I watched his slideshow, I was mesmerized by what he was talking about, and the drawings that his clients drew of the beings that they saw and what was happening to them, and so my mom and I waited after his lecture, and he was always so gracious, asked them questions, introduced myself and so forth. And it was after that, Dan, that I had to go and find out more about this abduction phenomenon and what Budd was talking about. And even though I wanted to go into hypnotherapy to help cancer patients, because my uncle died at 40 years old of cancer, and he was like a brother to me. My heart was there. I wanted to help cancer patients cross over when it was time. But yet, when I opened up my practice, it was the other way around. I thought it'd be interesting to get a couple of abduction cases, and I started meeting people in the field. A lot of synchronicities, how things happen, and they began to refer people to me when they found out what I was. I was a hypnotherapist. I worked with Budd. And then it just snowballed. I mean, my practice was, it is, right now it's 100% abduction cases. Back then it was maybe 95% abduction cases.
Yeah, you were meant to do this. You were meant to do this work. I want to move. I have some more fun images. Race number 4, please. Slide number 4.
Oh,
that's such a great picture, especially Stanton's got that, a rum and Coke in his hand there. Tell us about these two amazing characters here.
Well, this was when we were doing CERO International. We had an event on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California.
Oh, okay.
And Kathy Morgan, the first time I met her, I contacted her when I found out she was the new. And because she started working closely with Stan, and Stan I knew since I got in the field. So I invited them both to be speakers, and we were on the ship, and it was a great event. Oh my gosh, look at this. I just love it. I love this. It just bringing back such wonderful memories.
Yvonne, your mic cut out. Kathy is the niece of Betty and Barney Hill. Your mic cut out when you said that. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then Stanton resurrected the Roswell research in the 70s, 30 years after it happened. And he's the guy that proved to the world that the Roswell crash really happened. I mean, these are two icons right here.
Absolutely. Yeah, he contacted Jesse Marcel Sr. and, the rest is. So thankfully for Stan, he did that.
Yeah, that's one of the first books. One of the first books I read is the book that those two wrote together in ufology. It's one of the reasons I got further into this field. All right, race number 5, please.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh my gosh! Of course, Whitley Strieber, and we were at Steve Neal. This is where his workshop is, his artist studio, and we had an event there that featured the three of us. It wasn't a conference or anything, but we were meeting people, and Steve was having an art show, and so we invited. He invited several people. So we just. We were there. Just another great picture of the three of us.
Yeah, Whitley looks like my father from the 50s. Like my father was Mr. Joe Engineer. He had those same
with
glasses.
The glasses. Yeah,
he had the pen in his pocket, just like Whitley. If Whitley had like Middle Eastern skin and dark hair, it could have been my father in this picture. And then Jimmy Church, you've been friends with him probably for a while. Yeah.
Jimmy Church, I've been on his show a few times. He has a great show. We're of course dear friends. I think when the Contact in the Desert was still in Joshua Tree is when I think I first did back several years. And then he asked me to be on his show, and like I said, I've been in his show a couple times. So. Here I am again with two wonderful people. And Whitley Strieber, of course, his book Communion, it was the first book I picked up at the bookstore when we were still going to bookstores because my son had a book report due. And I'm walking around and I see this strange cover and I'm thinking, what is that? And I pick it up, I read the flap, the side jacket, and I bought it. I read it in 2 days, Dan. I don't read anything in 2 days. I mean, I couldn't put it down. And I am still, to this day, 33 years later, I've been told by clients who come and see me that when they saw that picture, it triggered memories. I'm still, and thank Whitley, and he's a dear friend, and I thank Whitley for writing that book, coming out and talking about his own experiences, because it has helped thousands of people, maybe millions of people around the world.
He's a trailblazer for openness in this field, and I've heard that story from many people. They saw the cover at a 7-Eleven or a bookstore or a drugstore, and they, oh my God, that looks so familiar. And he's a national treasure. This guy,
absolutely,
national treasure. All right, race number 6, please. Now, I found this one very, very interesting. Philip Corso on the right.
Oh, yeah. I spent, this was San Marino, my first trip in San Marino. I think this was 1997.
Okay, wow.
We were having, San Marino was having another one of those conferences. I was invited for the first time. We had the crop circle, Colin Andrews to the left, and the German researcher. Oh gosh, I'm drawing blanks here, Dan.
I don't know who the two gentlemen are on the left of the picture. I didn't know, but Philip Corso, of course, wrote the book The Day After Roswell.
And I spent time with him in Rome, along with his daughter-in-law and his grandson. We walked around the Colosseum together, and he was telling us about his time there in World War II. I'll think about, and I haven't seen him for years. I don't know if he's still doing his research, but this is a incredible picture. I mean,
look how young you are, right?
Can we go back to those days when we looked so young?
How about for me? I wish I could go back when I had hair on my head. But we all want to do something. All right, I have one more. Race number 7.
Oh yes.
All right, tell us. I know who these are, but tell the audience, please, Yvonne, who these people are.
Well, okay. You've shocked me here, throughout this whole.
I like to keep my guests on their toes, Yvonne.
Calvin Parker, dear man, right in the middle of me and Deb Cobble. Now, Calvin Parker, of course, was one of the two. With Charles Hickson of the Pascagoula, Mississippi case. If you have not read about the case, everyone who's listening, I recommend it. He wrote a book. You could get it on Amazon. He signed one for me at the Congress. I think that was that same year I received the award. It was wonderful to meet him and his wife. I'll remember it.
I think he passed away recently, right, Calvin?
He did, and it broke my heart. It just broke my heart when I heard that he had passed away. But I know during his last interview, I forget which show this is on. I was told that he was not doing too well during that time. And to think of it, he was just a kid, 17 years old when he was abducted with Charles Hickson.
Yvonne, it always amazed me that, we all know Travis Walton's story. We all know Betty and Barney Hill. But these two guys, Calvin and his partner, that their story is just as remarkable, but it never became as iconic as Travis or Betty and Barney Hill,
Now, Deb Cobble, she is now a part of CERO, one of our out-of-state members. Now, remember her original book that she wrote with her sister, and she was Kathy in that book. Budd Hopkins wrote it, And then CBS did a miniseries about it called
Intruders.
It was over a 2-night event. So her case is extremely important, and I'm hoping that her case, as well as the others, like say Calvin Parker, could be made into feature films, because I think it's important to put that out there to the public, to let them know that this happens to anyone and everyone. Whether you're, I come across people who are famous, who are wealthy, and who are not wealthy. I mean, just, across the board, it happens to anyone. And these two are also just, pioneers, because this happened so long ago. I believe Deb, hers happened in 1985. And I think with Calvin, it wasn't too long. It was around the time that Travis had his experience.
Yeah, and I think it was 77, maybe 77, around there, maybe.
Around there, 70s. But I'm so happy that I got to meet Calvin. We spent some time at the UFO Congress, and he was a speaker. And
I wish I had met. Yeah, I wish I had met him. I'm good friends with Deborah Cobble, by the way. She and I.
Well, she's wonderful. I love her dearly, and I love her being the part of CERO, because she's such an integral part of it. Oh my gosh, you're almost making me cry now, showing me all.
I know. I wanted to blow your mind, Yvonne, and I think I did. Okay. All right. Yeah. Erase number 8. Number 8, please. Slide number 8. Now we're going to talk about your books. Okay. So this is your book, Coronado, which I've been to the Hotel Coronado. It's one of my favorite places on the planet Earth. I wasn't abducted, as far as I know, but I love that. I love that place. I've been there with my wife and various girlfriends over the years. Tell me about this book. Tell me about the premise of this book and what happened with this book.
Well, during that time in the 90s, this was in 1994, this case happened. I was traveling with Budd Hopkins, John Mack, David Jacobs. It was called the Triad Conferences, and it was funded by Robert Bigelow at the time. And we traveled all across the United States. Well, because Coronado is in San Diego and I'm in Southern California, they asked me this time, instead of being a speaker, to be the MC. And boy, that is a really, really busy job at a conference, keeping everybody on time. So I came down to Coronado. They put me up at the Del Coronado. Then several, dozen of my CERO members, they all came down together because they wanted to meet all the researchers. They wanted to meet other experiencers from across the country. And during the course of that weekend, President Clinton was going to be there. We didn't know it at the time, because when we arrived, there were Secret Service vans and cars everywhere. Secret Service everywhere. And we were wondering, it was so funny. One of my members, Melinda Leslie, she panicked. She says, "Oh my God, they're going to gather us up together. All of us abductees are going to put us in, lock us away." And then we realized, they told the hotel, said, "Oh no, President Clinton's going to be here. He's doing a speech." And so this was really, there's a lot of different strange things that around this case, because when, the Secret Service, they come and they check out the place like weeks in advance. They knew we were going to be there. They knew we were going to have a UFO conference. They didn't make us move the venue. They didn't make us move the date. And it was a lawyer friend of mine that said, it was a few years after President Obama was going to Hawaii. They were having a wedding, this couple having a wedding. That poor couple had to move their venue because the president was going to be at that same hotel. Yet here we're talking about UFOs, and we stayed at the hotel. And during the course of that whole weekend, my CERO members were coming up to me telling me they weren't feeling well. One woke up with a bloody nose, had blood on his pillow. The other one came away with a object in her left shin, and that's the same place of my Jesse Long of my double abduction of brothers, left shin, same place. She had it removed by Dr. Roger Lear, and how to analyze everything. The analysis is everything's in the book. I do not edit any of the transcripts because I want people to know what everybody goes through. They relive the experience. As I was writing the book, I was still traveling up north doing hypnosis sessions because there were so many people involved in this. So in 2013, that's how long it took me to do all this. That's when we finally published the book. And I am hoping, I'm putting it out there in the universe, that I really feel this is an important case that should be made into a feature film, because it shows the public that these aren't people by themselves in the middle of a cornfield being abducted. People are abducted, there's multiple witness abductions all the time. In Coronado, they remember seeing each other on the craft, because I was there, so I know I could be there, put myself there on that weekend when I was doing the regressions. So they remembered seeing each other. And that also is not unusual for multiple witness cases. They remember seeing each other on the craft. So I'm hoping that at some point, this could be made into, some kind of a film. A couple of the people have passed away, unfortunately, because
I think this would be terrific. We could talk offline, but I have the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, as you know, you're a member,
right?
And half of our members are UFO advocates, researchers, experiencers. The other half are Hollywood writers, producers, directors. I want to read that. I want to read that book, but I have a contact I just met yesterday. They might be, Yvonne, we could talk later, but they might be interested in doing something with you for that.
Yeah, so, I'm telling Dan, these synchronicities are incredible, aren't they? When you get into this field, it's the synchronicities that, like I said, I don't believe in coincidence. So that would be wonderful, Dan, because I really feel strongly that all of this needs to be presented to the.
I've wanted to read. Yeah, I've wanted to read that book for a while, and I don't have it. Race number nine. Okay, this is your second book. Chosen. Tell us about Chosen.
Chosen. This is the second edition. I think we're going into the third edition, but this one I added onto the second half of the book. Now, I think I chose about 9 cases in this book, and I included the transcripts. There's 2 double abduction cases in this book. And when I was going into the second edition, I was hearing from several, I don't know how hundreds of experiencers telling me that they feel that they're supposed to do something. They don't know what it is. They're not happy in, say, their career because they feel like they're supposed to be doing something else, something maybe to help the planet. Something is going to happen soon, but they can't pinpoint what it is. Nobody's given any kind of date. And that's why I pay attention to this, because none of the abductees have come up with any kind of date. They're just saying something is going to happen. Now, within the last 2 years, they've been telling me, these people don't know each other still, that things are ratcheting up. Things are starting to happen. Something is accelerating, and I truly believe it is. I think whatever it is, I termed it the urgency, and I think we're in the urgency now. And whatever it is ratcheting up, because I have never been so busy in my 33 years of my work. When you have your own business, it goes up and down, and mine was no different, especially around the holidays. But I have been so busy since, the beginning of this year. I feel like I'm working full time. And I'm grateful, believe me, for all my clients and people that I'm helping. But that's when I feel another synchronicity. Okay, I am really busy. People wanting to know, people are awakening, wanting to know, did this really happen to me? And so, we'll see. We're living in very interesting times, and everybody's talking about disclosure. But you know what I feel very strongly, Dan, I have for the last couple of years, that it's the abductees, experiencers that are going to drive the disclousure.
Right.
People that are coming forward in all walks of life, people are going to be amazed who's been abducted. I mean, from all walks of life. So, but something's going to happen where our government is no longer going to be able to deny all of this.
Yeah. Every day it gets more embarrassing that our government keeps lying so remarkably.
Yes.
Race number 10, please. All right. So last year you won. That looks like ice, like an ice sculpture. You won a Lifetime Achievement Award, Yvonne. What's that like? Because I'll never win a PR Lifetime Achievement. What was that like to win a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Oh my goodness! I've been going to Contact in the Desert for years. I was sitting, with one of my CERO members. We're having wine. I had just finished my long lecture. We went to the banquet, and I'm sitting there and enjoying my wine. And then they started giving out awards, and then I hear, Lifetime Achievement Award, Yvonne Smith, and I thought I heard wrong. I looked up. I said,
you didn't know, and they didn't tell you in advance.
No, wow. They keep it a secret, and so they had to make sure that I was going to go to the banquet. So I was there, but this, you can't see it in the picture, but this stand, I'm looking at it right now on my mantle. It changes colors. It just, from blue to green to it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful award. Yeah. I was in the room. I was there. I saw you get that award.
Oh, you were there. Dan.
I hadn't met you yet. I was a few tables away, and I was kind of drunk from this woman who was getting me drunk. And I go, there's Yvonne Smith. I should go say hi. And then this woman is rubbing my leg, and I'm like, who's Yvonne Smith? Anyway, yeah, I think that's a beautiful award. I think that's great. I have one more. I want to shove one more slide in here. Number 11, Race. You were on the Women of Ufology panel. And just so you know, Yvonne, that was my idea, by the way. I thought of that panel. That was my idea.
Great idea. Oh, great idea. That was a good panel. I really enjoyed being there with all these wonderful women.
Yeah. What's it like to be one of the few pioneer women in ufology? There's very few.
It's very few. And you know what? When I was learning with Budd, I was the only one. I've traveled with all these men, male colleagues, and it's changed, thankfully, quite a bit. There's more women in ufology, and I'm glad to see that. And as I'm teaching these therapists, there's, women and men that I'm teaching. So it's good to know. And that's why I thought, wow, women in ufology, that was a great idea, Dan. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, I was the publicist for Contact, so that was my PR idea. I'm like, we got to do something with women in ufology. So I thought
loved it.
Yeah, like a year before it happened. Have you ever done any projects with Linda Moulton Howe?
No projects, no. For some reason, I've never been on her show. I don't know why, but I've known her since I've been in the field.
She goes back to the 70s, I believe. Race, you can kill the slide, please. But she goes back. Yeah.
Bud was in town back early 90s. He used to stay with my family, and I drove him to an interview, and she was there, and he introduced me, and so that's so I've known her since I've been doing this. Sure.
She's very she's one of the pioneers. She's on the elder. She's an elder statesman, right, of this field.
Yes.
We have about 2 minutes left. Oh, that's a nice picture.
Oh, and this was in Sebring, Florida. This is the last time that Race and I saw each other. This was it. I don't remember the year, but
is Race in that picture? Where the hell is he?
I don't think
I'm taking the picture down.
Race took the picture. Okay.
I took the picture. That was with Paula Harris and Peter Robbins and Grant Cameron, Steve Allen.
Yes.
That was just that was an eclectic group there, wasn't it, Yvonne?
And that's Stan Romanek, right?
It
In the
is
back?
Stan and Lisa Romanek. It is.
And Lisa's right there. Oh my gosh.
And that's
And there's
Karen Dolan, Richard
Dolan.
Dolan. That was Richard Dolan's
Yeah.
wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
Richard Dolan's wife? Which one? Which
In
one
the
was
light
First wife.
blue.
Oh, really?
His first
Interesting.
wife.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there's
That's
Kathy, of course, and Peter Robbins. I met him, of course, back then, with Budd.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a
Yeah,
truly fun,
beautiful.
and I thought you just looked $1 million that night. I had to go dig that picture up. I wish I had it in higher resolution, but
That's a great
thank
picture.
you.
Yvonne,
Oh,
do you keep scrapbooks? Do you keep a scrapbook? Because you've met literally the who's who of ufology. You
I
should make
know.
a scrapbook.
Well, I have tons of pictures. I've got to do something with them. If you could send me that slide presentation that you just showed me, I would be
Sure.
I would be so grateful to you. I know I
Sure.
have them, but if you can send them to me, at least I know, recently.
It's called Google Yvonne Smith images. It's really quite simple. It's really not hard, Yvonne, but I promise I will do that right after.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Because
Yvonne,
I was almost 10 years.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. How can people reach you? What's the best way for people to reach you, contact you?
You can email me. Go onto my website, hypnotherapist.YvonneSmith.com. My email is on there. You can fill out questionnaires if you're looking to move forward to become regressed for half memories and missing time. Certainly email me with any questions at all. It's better to email me than to phone me, because sometimes I don't get to all of my voicemails. So, and I'm constantly looking at my emails, and I try to answer everybody the same day.
Okay.
So, I welcome everybody to visit my website.
Okay, great. And if anyone missed the beginning of the show, Yvonne regressed me this past Saturday at her office, and there were 3 memories I had from 2 from childhood, 1 from adulthood, and I didn't remember anything that I didn't remember, but Yvonne put me, like Yvonne, you put me in those settings. I felt like I was back in time in 1961. And in 1970 and in 2008, I was in the moment back in time. So what you do is very interesting, and you're a joy to know. And I'm glad we're friends, and you help people, and anyone that helps people is a treasure as far as I'm concerned. So I hope everyone who's watching today, all 7 of my viewers, check out Yvonne Smith, and be well. Good luck to you. We'll remain friends, and I'll send you those.
Thank you, Dan, so much.
Yeah.
And thank you, Grace. It was wonderful to see you and hear you. And my birthday is on Saturday, so this is a nice birthday gift.
There you go.
Happy
Well,
birthday,
the slides. Yeah, Ray, send her the slide that you had. I'll send her, and the Ray. Yvonne, that's your birthday present from Dan and Ray.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, everybody. Next week I will be back east with my mother for her 90th birthday. So we're going to rerun the interview I did recently with Dr. Avi Loeb. I haven't told Race that yet, but I just did. So I'll be back with a live show 2 weeks from tonight. And rock and roll. Thanks, everybody. Check out HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. My books, Dan Harary, author.com. Have a great couple of weeks. I'll talk to you soon.